Michael Moore owns Halliburton stock. And, he doesn't just own some stock. And let me just say something here. I said a decade ago, if you're evil, buy defense stocks. We're about to have muy grande world war. If you're evil, buy biometric stocks. What's biometrics? That nut says they're going to scan us to get licenses. Well, you just did it? I would not buy those stocks. In fact, I don't own any stocks. I've been given some before and sold them. And I'm not saying it's bad to own some stocks, but you need to know how immoral it is to own Halliburton stocks. I mean, this is a criminal organization. Criminal. Engaging in so many crimes, I can't even, cover them all in the next 30 minutes we got left. This is a good article. This is a good article. Let me just read over this. I don't own a single share of stock, filmmaker Michael Moore proudly proclaimed. I remember when he did that. He's right. He doesn't own a single share. He owns tens of thousands of shares, including nearly 2,000 shares of Boeing, nearly 1,000 of Sonoco, more than 4,000 of Best Foods, more than 3,000 of Eli Lilly. He's making a film about the drug makers right now. This guy's sick. More than 8,000 of Bank One, and more than 2,000 of Halliburton. You know how much a Halliburton stock is, folks? How much 2,000 shares is? The company's most vilified by Moore and Fahrenheit 9/11. If you want to see Moore's own signed Schedule D declaring his capital gains and losses where his stock ownership is listed, it's emblazoned on the cover of Peter Schweizer's new book, Do As I Say, Not As I Do, Profiles in Liberal Hypocrisy. And it goes on. And it's just one of the startling revelations by Schweitzer, famous for his previous works, and it goes on. Other examples, House Majority Leader Nancy Pelosi proclaimed her support for unions, yet runs a luxury resort. The vineyard and the restaurant she partly owns are strictly non-union. While she advocates tough new laws enforcing environmental regulations on the private sector, the exclusive country club she owns failed to comply with existing environmental regulations for the past 8 years, including a failure to protect endangered species. Noam Chomsky, actual officer in the New World Order, folks. Oh, you're going to cry when I say the guy is a low-grade moron. And people are shocked when I say that. That's pontificating twit. Couldn't fight his way intellectually out of a paper bag. He just hung up on me on my radio show. Noam Chomsky has made a reputation for calling America a police state and branding the Pentagon the most hideous institution on earth. Yet his entire academic career, writes Schweitzer, was subsidized by the U.S. military. Well, who do you think funds all this to bring America down? The Pentagon. Of course they fund Chomsky while he runs around saying Bush wasn't involved in 9/11. And this is what he does. The evil right-wing neocons must be stopped. The UN world government will save us. The evil neocons are owned by the same people. The New World Order owns the neocons and owns the UN. And we try to explain this to people. We try to go over this with people. Look at this. Barbara Streisand is another prominent environmentalist. Yet she drives an SUV, lives in a mansion, and has $22,000 annual water bill. In the past, she has driven to appointments in Beverly Hills in a motor home because of her aversion to using public bathrooms. Ralph Nader plays the role of Citizen Avenger. The populace continued with wealth and materialism, pretending to live in a modest apartment. In fact, he lives in fancy homes registered in the names of his siblings. This is not just a book of gotcha journalism, explains Schweitzer. He says the dozens and dozens of examples of liberal hypocrisy he cites in the book are of central importance in evaluating the viability and usefulness of liberal ideas. And it goes on. Using IRS records, court depositions, news reports, financial disclosures, and their own statements, I sought to answer a particular question. Do these liberal leaders and activists practice what they preach, he writes. They're not liberal. Disney put out Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit did Bush a favor, as I said in my film, Martial Law. It goes from the government orchestrated this attack. Here's their own documents. Here's their own admissions. This is public. To Bush is just an idiot. He really screwed up. We need more funding for the military and law enforcement. He actually says that in the film. And then I get accused every day of being Michael Moore. You're just a Michael Moore wannabe. Yeah, I'm not on NBC, folks. I don't have national films. I expose the government carrying out the attacks. But again, it's all part of the false left-right paradigm. Let's go ahead and take some calls. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, how's it going tonight? Okay, I wanted to make a couple of points too. We got to stay healthy. I think we got to drink filtered water and eat good, because you can't stay healthy, you can't fight any of this. Great points about Michael Moore. He's a sellout. Noam Chomsky and Ralph Nader, in my opinion, are agents. And doing a good job, man. I'll let you go.
Listen, I really appreciate your call, and I appreciate those kind words. I was just really straining to hear you. You don't have to sell out. What did Mark Twain say? And I always quote this wrong, but here's my paraphrase of it. In the beginning, a patriot is a scarce man, hated and feared and scorned, and brave. But in time, when his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. And Paul Watson wrote a good article the other day that's on prisonplanet.com and INFOWARS.com called "It Costs Nothing to Be a Patriot." I mean, in the past, when there were three major networks and the globalist had bought up all the newspapers, you had to step and fetch it and play by their rules. And there were media activists, there were real reporters, there were real conspiracy theorists, and they killed them. I mean, they hunted us down, they killed us. But now there's so many of us, there's the internet, there's sub-published books, videos, all of this, that they've lost control. There's too many of us. And all their people are being exposed. But no, I mean, Moore is one of their people. I mean, openly. And Noam Chomsky, I know is. Nader, I'm not so sure about. But we know Noam Chomsky is. And I just see people fawn at him because that's what the smart people do. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, I've read his writings. He'll tell you all this stuff that's true. He's like Lyndon LaRouche. He'll tell you all this stuff that's true and then give you a false solution. And I had Chomsky on and I went, wait a minute. Our military-industrial complex openly founded the UN in 45 and 46. Well, wait a minute. The Security Council literally runs it. Well, wait a minute. There's a global blueprint for world government that came out 7 years ago, Chomsky, and it says the world knows there's world government now, so we'll give them a false left-right choice. That's just ridiculous. I just want to. You understand who I am? I just know so much. Well, Noam Chomsky, Noam there. How you doing? Noam, you can listen to the interview on my website from like 3 years ago. I have Operation Northwoods, the official U.S. government plan to carry out terror attacks, hijack planes and crash them. Have you heard of this? That's just absolutely ridiculous. I'm not going to hear a word from you. Well, Mr. Chomsky, Hitler was for gun control, and what's your point? Well, my point is governments try to enslave their people throughout history, and slaves were disarmed in Rome, and black people in this country. Oh, that's it. That's just Hitler wasn't for gun control. It's just on and on and on. And so manufacturing consent. Oh, so the Pentagon pays off the media. Tell me something I don't know. Declassified 1977, Operation Mockingbird. I could sit here and, let me now go over something for you. Let me tell you a big super secret. There's a lot of CIA agents in the media. And this is part of the overall system. Here, let me go over that for you. Here, we're going to... I mean, it's just there's so many incredible minds and so many great people in the whole political spectrum. It's just Chomsky, oh, Chomsky, oh, Chomsky. I mean, it's disgusting. It's like these neocons. I just love George Bush. He's actually of the Lord. There was one in the hall earlier. Friend of mine who I know, God bless him, and he says, George Bush is guided by the Lord. He has actual God power. He is filled right now. He's actually operating for Jesus. I'm like vomiting. It's just as sick with your Noam Chomsky crap. Please give me a break. There's so many armchair intellectuals, folks. I'm just tired of it. I mean, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? Please stop.